welcome to Las Cruces. Today I will be building the nuclear plant and the water treatment plant and a bunch of incineration plants and recycling centers, so it's gonna be more like a service area or energy service area. I don't know how to call it or the right term for it, but I guess that's it. So as you can see, I built these roads off camera to have a little bit more traffic flowing into the city and from the city out. So that will fix or solve the problem of traffic that I was having in the bridges. And as you can see, the interchanges I built here are very simple because I really can't build a very complex interchange. Before I start talking about the time-lapse, I forgot to mention that I will be putting some timestamps in the description of this video. So for example, if you're interested to see the cinematics, you can click on that and it will take you right there. So just that, I thought it was gonna be a nice addition, so there it goes. Talking about this time-lapse, I had to do some sketches for this one because I was looking at the pictures on the internet of some water treatment plants and some nuclear plants, and it turns out that I wasn't really too far from the general idea of these areas, and so the only problem would be the design, how I wanted this area to look like. So I decided to make it kind of like a grid, a traditional grid, because it's easier to place buildings like this. I didn't want to use a concrete jungle, or that. I didn't want to paint everything concrete. It looks nice for industrial areas, but it's really not something that I personally like. So instead I kind of built this area around the idea of making it blend with this mountain that is in the background. I try to not go too crazy with details in this one because I was more concerned about the general idea than the small details, and that's the reason why you won't see a lot of landscaping going on or placing rocks. So it's just the minimum necessary to make it look like an interesting area, but it's not something like I wanted to spend too much time on this. But I try to put all the necessary stuff here to kind of make it look like a functional area. For example, it has a cargo station, which is from the workshop. It's called Kansas Cargo Station or something like that. And it looks pretty cool. I like this old-fashioned look that it has. It might not fit with the whole high-tech concept of the city, but it's always nice to respect the old architecture, the old buildings, the history of them. Since there is just not too much to mention about this area, because I don't know, I don't know too much about this kind of things, so I don't feel comfortable talking about them. I'm gonna leave you with some background music, and I will return for the city tour, which is gonna be on the other half of this video. So until then. So there it is, the energy service area, and now I'm gonna move on to the tour through the city, which I'm gonna try to be quick and not try to distract myself in small details. So I'm just gonna focus on the general idea, like the concept, the whole of each district, and that will be it. So let's get to it. So the first district that we are gonna be looking at is La Cruz. This is where everything started, and as you can see, it is heavily inspired by the Arc de Triomphe. Sorry for that French, it's not my thing. The skyline has changed quite a lot since video number 1. This is mainly because I uninstalled many assets that I previously had because they were messing around with my RAM, and it was very problematic. But I did my best to kind of rebuild the skyline, and I also rebuilt this area we got here. I put this train station right here, kind of makes more sense. Also a big commercial area surrounded by residential area, and I did this because I wanted to kind of fix the problem with slopes that I had. On the other side of the highway we got Valle Alto, which is a district heavily inspired by suburbs in Spain. I can't tell you the names, but the concept is to have a commercial area at the center and surrounding it all the residential areas. So we got some services like firefighter station and a police station and stuff like that. We also got here a main campus for the city. You can see that there's a lot of parking lots, a lot of leisure for the students so they can take a break from class and class. There's a library here, there's a research facility, indoor tracks, and of course the main campus. Right next to the campus we got a graveyard which services this district and La Cruz, but in-game of course it's gonna be serving the whole city. Also I built this kind of radio station over here with some dish satellites. It's kind of like a POI for this area. This is Industrial Park Leon. This is where the heavy industry is located in the city. It started out as a really small industrial complex just to give some industry to the people that lives in Valle Alto and La Cruz district. But as the city grew, the need for industry grew as well. This district shares the access by train with Valle Alto, and it also has access by metro stations. In this district we can find Spaghetti Monster, which helps with the traffic flow. Since I built this kind of crazy interchange, there hasn't been any problem with traffic anymore, and to help even more, we got a cargo station here. Next to Industrial Park Leon, we got a residential development, Palo Verde. This area, because I wanted to make it look like it was planned, it has a more regular grid than the rest of the city. It has an organical grid that goes with a shape kind of like following the river. And because it is a residential development, I try to make use of the same buildings, the same houses. The concept of having or mixing up commercial and residential, it is present here as well. Closer to the river we got some high density apartments, and these are kind of like more fancy, more touristic areas. This district doesn't have a train connection, but it has some metro stations. Moving to the other side of the city, we got El Dorado district. So some things that I reworked are just like La Cruz, the skyline, because it was ruined, it was gone. So I had to rework that, and I also fixed the problem with some slopes that were going on here. I added a lot more detail to make the cliffs feel like they were actually cliffs. Some big rocks and some other small rocks. So just kind of adding details. I wouldn't say this area is finished yet. It might need some tweaks here and there, but for the most part you could say it's about 95% finished. Some areas have been completely reworked and some areas have been partially rebuilt. This district has a train station and metro stations. It also has services like a graveyard and incineration plants and recycling centers. And it also has a lot of accessibility for pedestrians. Right next to El Dorado, we got El Dorado Lake. I was gonna use high rises in this area, but because I wanted to get that natural feeling going on, I decided to use just single household houses, and yeah, I placed down some mansions, but I'm really not a big fan of them. The rest of El Dorado Lake, it's pretty much a service area. It has a graveyard, hospital, schools, a library, some parks. It has a commercial or a mall, I would say. It has an office area, and it also has a very small industrial area. So it has everything to work as satellite district. On the other side of this highway we got Las Salinas, and I wanted to make this district look like a little bit older than the rest. So many of the facades of the buildings you see, they are looking weathered, they're looking old, and most of these buildings are high-rise but not so high like the new Las Salinas district is. Some interesting areas we got here are the central station, which is busy as always. Every time I go anywhere near here, my FPS drops like to 10 or 0, and there is a lot of traffic going on here, but it is satisfying as well to see that your citizens are actually using your public transport. We also got here the city hall, and pretty much many of the government offices gathered here. There is a lot of open space for the pedestrians to walk, a lot of green areas, and next to it we got another campus which has its very own research facility, library. It also has a police station and a firefighter station, because that's what the game told me that they needed. So that is not something for realism, but it's more for game mechanics. Last but not least, we got New Las Salinas. Contrary to Las Salinas, New Las Salinas is supposed to be somewhat new, and because of this, many buildings should be looking taller. It has a downtown area, I guess, but I like to call it a central area, and this is where all the big businesses are. And I try to make this district look like more active in tourism than the rest. This is why I got here some of the unique buildings. I got about 4 or 5 unique buildings here. I wanted to place down even more, but I'm gonna save them for some other areas. Just like any other satellite district in the city, it also has an industrial area. It has offices and the mix between residential and commercial areas. And since it has a lot of water to its disposal, there's a lot of evergreens. This district doesn't have any connection by train, but it has connections by metro. Alright, so that's gonna be it for the tour and the video in general. So I hope you like it. The last week I was unable to upload a video because I ran into some technical difficulties, but it's all good now. So I guess there is only one thing left to say, and that is, as the usual, thanks for watching. Until next time.